Welcome to another edition of Beyond the Bell. It is Monday, January 22nd, 2024. It is 60 seconds after the bell, which means it's time to go beyond the charts, beyond the news, beyond the bell. Brought to you by our good friends at the Blue Sky Trading Company. For the clearest path to a live brokerage account in the prop space, make sure you check us out at bluesky.pro. Also, go ahead and check out our Discord server, live trading with Mike every single trading day right at the open. So first of all, welcome to this first ever edition of Beyond the Bell under the Blue Sky brand. My name is Matt. I'm very excited to host this show for you. We are coming at you Monday through Thursday every day right at 60 seconds after the close. And guys, the first thing I always do as a trader to start off the trading week, to start off your trading day, is take a look at the big picture. So let's go ahead and look at the big picture. Okay, so we're going to start here in the ES, guys. We're going to get to the NQ momentarily. A lot of NQ traders out there. The NQ is, I think, by far the most popular trading instrument within the prop space. And for an experienced trader like myself, for those that understand risk, the NQ is great. It is a mover. But to get a big picture of the markets in general, especially for newer traders, ES is a nice smooth mover and can give us a little more complete picture of the markets themselves than the NQ, which is, of course, tech-oriented. And the ES, of course, the futures contract for the S&P 500. Always worth checking out the chart of the ES. Always worth checking out a chart of the SPY and all of the major indexes so we know where things are going. So let's take a look at the ES here, guys. This is a 4-hour chart, and I've stripped it down. Nothing on the chart except what I put on it and our candlesticks. So we had a really interesting quite a few days where we really hovered around this 4,800 level, guys. Now, we say something like support and resistance, and we think of, well, that's not a well-drawn line, excuse me. Something like this is support as resistance. Something like this is support, nice and clean, right? And it doesn't always work that way on the charts here, guys. As you can see here, 4,800, which I have labeled with the green line. We moved above it, we moved below it, back above it, back below it, but we were never really able to get any sort of divergence from that area. And so this is what we've been watching for quite some time, right? Now, as technical traders, we're not necessarily concerned with day-to-day news, right? But we do want to know what news is coming up and what news has been driving the markets for the better part of a year and a half now. Two things specifically: inflation rates. Inflation rates and interest rates, right? And specifically, it's really interest rates and how inflation plays towards those particular interest rates. And here we finally have some good divergence. Good 80-point move. Actually, we banged our heads right up here at 4,900. So basically, 100-point divergence off the 4,800 level. Now, does this mean we're just heading straight up? Well, of course not, right? We don't know where the markets are going. We just want to know what we're going to do on each particular level. So in this situation, guys, I'm looking actually for a partial retracement as we move into the after hours and into tomorrow. One of the difficulties with this particular move, guys, we kind of ran up Friday afternoon a little bit before the markets, and as you can see, this is basically today's market action. So some very tradable things. We'll break it down on a 5-minute momentarily, but sort of just a bit of a rest, a bit of a profit taking for those that were long going into the last couple of days. Okay, let's go ahead and take a look at everybody's favorite, the NQ. Guys, the NQ has been a beautiful trader over the past couple of weeks, and you see it's played very nicely with these levels at the whether you want to call them the hundreds, the roundies, the aughts, whatever. It's played very nice at those particular levels. And you could see, guys, one of the beauties, especially when we zoom out a little bit on the NQ chart, is when we find these areas where we consolidate, right? So, for example, we consolidated fairly low here back, back very early on in January. We pushed up, we retraced through this level, right? And this is why we always, guys, if you're so stuck on technical analysis, one of the things that I recommend you do, go to a 4-hour chart and just start boxing out, building boxes on some of these levels of consolidation, right? So we had this level of consolidation that was actually here on the first trading day of the year before we ran a little lower. And sure enough, guys, we revisited this area, a classic, what I like to call a break, retest and go. We pushed all the way up to 17,000. And boy, sometimes, guys, we have a tendency to overthink major levels, right? We overthink technical analysis. And then sometimes, guys, it just puts it right on the chart for you here. 17,000, very strong level here. And again, we had what I refer to as a multi-wick rejection of this level, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 times. Six times on the 4-hour chart, we pushed up. Actually, 7 here. I missed this little guy. All right, so 7 times we pushed up and just kept getting rejection, okay? So what's going on when this happens, right? So we come up to a level of resistance. Every single time we come up there, that's where the sellers are going, you know what? I'm going to go ahead and take a short here. Or it's where the buyers who had already accumulated long positions come in and say, you know what? I'm not risking this going any lower. I'm going to go ahead and take my profits here and put them in my pocket. And the fact that this consolidated right about the new year was a key area as well. So what does this mean? When we get a very strong area of resistance, what that means is we need 2 things to get through it. We need volume and conviction from traders, and those 2 are pretty much alike, right? Now, you and I can sit here, and I would imagine every single person at Blue Sky who's funded in our prop firm, or if we were all given $100,000 tomorrow and we all went long in the NQ, we would probably accumulate the volume of less than 1% of some of the major institutions, right? So it doesn't matter what we think, right? As retail traders, we're just trying to get in the river and let the current carry us a little ways, right? Or if you're like me when I first started, and like a lot of traders when you first started, we're sitting there furiously paddling against the current, thinking the river's going to change directions anytime now, right? In this situation, we got, as we moved into Friday afternoon and the session Sunday night, we got that conviction. We got volume. We pushed up past this level of 17,100, and boy, it was look out above at that point, right? So again, though, as we came into today, so right about here is our overnight. So our overnight candle. So this is what we saw here. And let's zoom in a little bit on this particular formation, and then we'll break it down a little more on the 5-minute chart momentarily. Okay, so this is what we call, this was our candle leaning into the open in the first half hour of the New York session. A lot of indecision here. Let me zoom in so you guys can see that a little better, right? Whenever we see a candle like this, and whether this technically qualifies as a doji or not, what specifically are we looking for, right? Well, we're looking for some sort of conviction in the candle. In this particular candle, we have none, right? Sellers stepped in and pushed us down here. Buyers stepped down and pushed us down right here. Well, eventually we know sellers got control and pushed us lower, okay? Let's take a quick look at the NQ on the 5-minute chart before we go any further. Okay, beautiful day, guys, in the NQ. So for those that know me in my trading, I'm a big believer in VWAP trading, right? Good rule of thumb. All right, if you're not familiar with VWAP, you don't know what it is, you don't know how to use it, we're going to do a deeper dive on this in a future show. But in the meantime, it basically stands for volume-weighted average price. It's just the average price paid per contract throughout the trading day. I have VWAP set to reset at the beginning of the after-hour session, so actually it's going to reset here probably within the next hour, into the Asian session, into the European session, but I really start to pay attention to it about 30 minutes after the New York session opens. And as you can see this morning, guys, this is, we look at something like this, and listen, you made some money this morning, the first half hour, great, that's awesome. If you had a plan, you stuck to it. It's a plan that's been time tested. You know how to trade it. You journal it. You found your edge. That's awesome. In here, especially with a very tight spacing between the VWAP and the +1 and the VWAP and the -1 standard deviation bands, for VWAP-based traders, or at least the traders with VWAP-based strategies, not a whole lot to do here, right? We just sort of pogoed. But then we started to break down towards the -2 standard deviation band. And at that point, it became a race to see if we could smash through VWAP on the upside, and it's pretty clear to see here, guys, we didn't. And VWAP is a very important indicator because it's used by the institutions. If institutions have to fill a large order, right, and they give it to their trader, we need 100,000 contracts of the ES or the NQ. One of the things that those traders are going to be judged at with their fills is how many contracts they got under VWAP. So why, there's some things we pay attention to in trading, in technical analysis, and we specifically pay attention to them because nobody else looks at them. But then, guys, sometimes, again, we don't want to overthink it. And in this case, we specifically want to look at VWAP because that's what the big boys are looking at, right? And pushing up through VWAP or down through VWAP on on days when VWAP is acting as either support and or resistance is a very key thing to look at in terms of if you're a newer trader. So, for example, and this is just a rule of thumb, this is not trading advice or financial advice of any kind, but if you're a newer trader and you're struggling to kind of figure out where to go long, where to go short on the charts, before you do anything else, just throw VWAP up there. You don't even have to have the standard deviation lines or anything like that. Just put VWAP on your chart and just try on paper or in an eval for a couple of weeks, only taking long trades when we're above VWAP and only taking short trades when we're below VWAP, okay? And that can help you. Again, I'm not guaranteeing any sort of, you still need a strategy. You still need, whether it's candlestick-based, VWAP-based, Renko-based, market profile, TPO based, any of those types of things. Just try that for a little while and see if it improves your trading if you're somebody who's struggling. And if not, I still encourage you to check out VWAP and what it has to offer. So going back to the big picture, guys, I do want to take just a brief look at gold. We've got a beautiful downward chart going here on gold, guys, and this is something I'm going to start paying attention to. One of my sort of trader New Year resolutions is I'm a huge believer in goal-based learning, right? So something like at the beginning of the year, you set monthly goals in terms of, I'm going to read, I'm not a big believer in profit-based goals for newer traders. Only when you've had back-to-back years, really, in my opinion, back-to-back years of profitability, should you start to make dollar-based goals and profit-based goals. But even then, I believe you should still have learning-based goals. One thing for me is to get a little more into trading both gold and oil. The oil chart's a little bit of a mess right now. You can see there's not a lot of edge here, and I'm still working with contract specifications and what my position size is with that. But I've traded gold a few times this year, and this is just, again, guys, just a beautiful downward channel. So, again, for newer traders, and guys, I always encourage newer traders to spend at least a couple of months on paper and demonstrate profitability with the strategies that you've learned or developed before you move forward. But in this case, guys, if you had drawn this, begun to draw this channel even here, right? So, at this point, pretty clearly defined channel, right? You've gone short here, or excuse me, gone long here. We didn't quite get up here, but let's pretend we did. Selling here, maybe going short. You can see how these strategies develop, guys. And this is, we can overthink, again, putting trend lines on charts, but at this point, again, this is a 4-hour chart. This is just an opportunity to sit back and begin to determine direction. And again, guys, if you're struggling, I recommend this is what I do on Sunday nights. Okay, I will spend 5 minutes looking at a 4-hour chart of the ES, the NQ, the GC, and the CL. Right, and I'll see if there's any particular edges on those charts. Now, sometimes we find an edge, and it gets exhausted before the markets even open in the New York time. I'm not one of those people who wakes up at 3 in the morning to trade the Asian markets or the European markets. I value my sleep and I value my time, and my edge seems to play out best under the New York trading hours, so that's what I stick with. But this is, guys, this is the type of thing that can really help you just begin to have a bias, right? Begin to have a thesis with the market. As I have always said, it's very popular to have a bias and let that affect your trading. For me, a trade is where a thesis meets a setup. And at that point, I take the trade and we go from there. So while I will follow some degree of a bias, I'm specifically looking at, within my thesis, does the trade make sense? Okay. So with that in mind, I do want to take a little bit of a look at the markets, or excuse me, take a look at the GC on the 5-minute here. Oh, no, excuse me. I wanted to look at the ES because this is where VWAP, guys, boy, any of the people that work with me that are VWAP-based traders, VWAP tap here, VWAP tap here, didn't actually tap here. This is, but right here, probably could have played this as well and move back below VWAP. But guys, this is a market that once it dropped below VWAP, really struggled to reclaim that, right? And again, if you want to take a long bias above VWAP and a short bias below VWAP, especially when it's a downward sloping VWAP or a slightly upward sloping VWAP. Again, when VWAP's doing one of those, it's a little more difficult, especially early in the day, to necessarily use that as a support and resistance level. But you can see here, very nice downward slope on the VWAP. And using this just as a bias indicator, right? Am I short? Am I long? Etc. is something to definitely take a look at. So with that in mind, guys, I want to get to our next segment, and this we're specifically going to call our lesson of the day. Okay, one of the things, guys, that's very important, I'm somebody who's been working in the trading education space for about the past 8 years, right? I got hired on at a long forgotten and long abandoned company to help moderate their chat room because I was beginning to figure some things out, right? I began, because I have a background in both teaching and coaching, it was a natural transition for me as I began to figure out trading to help others as well. I've founded numerous study groups, live trading rooms, and all sorts of stuff over the years. Worked for a very major company for a few years, and now just kind of doing my own thing. I'm a full-time trader, part-time educator. As much as I really, really, truly enjoy doing this, I am first and foremost a trader. And so one of the things that I've noticed as I've been moving into, about a year ago, I specifically started working with the Blue Sky Trading Company, right? And one of the reasons are because of their dedication and their commitment to education, right? So many prop firms out there, it's just like, okay, here's an account, good luck, right? At Blue Sky, we've got a number of, you can go on make sure you like and subscribe this video to this video, so we'll notify you of ones in the future. I have a nice little library of webinars available on YouTube. This YouTube page, you can go back and look at some of the archives of my trading and just see a different style, right? And that it could be one of the biggest things to take away from looking at a lot of different traders, right? There's so many different traders out there that have different styles, right? I've met and worked with traders who I could never replicate their style and they could never replicate mine. And they may be polar opposites. I worked with a trader that at various times, especially in the swing trading space, that I've traded against some people that I work with, right? And there's been times, especially in the options market, we can both be right with the right amount of time and price movement, okay? So the lesson of the day is to find your trading style, right? And specifically, all you need to do is find one strategy and scale it. That is really the only 2 steps to becoming a profitable trader. Now, of course, there's many sub-steps. Don't blow out your account, whether it's your personal money, your eval, whatever. But if you can find, okay, let's say you trade the indexes, so the ES, the YM, the NQ, whatever the case may be, okay? If you can find a strategy that averages $500 a week trading 5 micros, okay, the smaller of the contracts. I'm not talking about the minis, I'm talking about the micros. Okay, just $500 a week, so that averages to $100 a day. Now, of course, not every week you're going to be profitable, not every day you're going to be profitable, et cetera, all right? But let's just say over 10 weeks, you average $500 a week trading in and it doesn't matter how many trades, although once you get over 10 per day it begins to be a little self-defeating, but just 5 micros. Okay, what's left at that point? Just scaling. Okay, now of course there's no guarantees. Even 10 weeks is a small sample size, even a couple hundred weeks is a small sample size, but just follow the line of thinking for a minute. If you can just do that for five micros, then move up to a mini. Okay, then move up to 15 micros, so basically like 1.5 minis, then to 2 minis. And now we're scaling. Now that 500 becomes 1,000, becomes 1,500, becomes 3,000, becomes 5,000. Those of us who are fortunate, maybe we can make anywhere from 5 to 10 grand a week. That's how we started. Okay, we started by it's in my. Let me say, in my experience, I've yet to meet a trader that can come into the markets on day one of their trading career, no matter how much they've learned and practiced, start with 5, 6, 7, 8 minis, and all of a sudden make $10,000 a week before they put anything else. If that person exists, I'd be happy to have you verify that with an independent accounting firm, and then hey, I'll have you on as a guest one day. But in the meantime, just make sure. So we have some comments in the YouTube. By the way, guys, this is an interactive show. I apologize, forgot to mention that at the top of the show. I am reading the YouTube comments live. Feel free to ask any questions along the way, and we'll look at that as well. So sounds like the static growth plan. Honestly, guys, if I were starting a Blue Sky Blue Sky eval tomorrow, I would start with the static growth, and we can get into later shows the characteristics of accounts and tips and hacks to get through them, and we will. But that's the one I would start with. So again, if somebody who's sitting here has been doing this profitably for about 7 years, would be doing that, maybe that's something you should take a look at as well. And guys, there's always trade-offs in trading, and in the prop firms, places like Blue Sky are no different, right? You can go to some place and get a $20 eval, and then you can get into funded, and now all of a sudden they have all these different restrictions on when you can withdraw and all that. Once you get into a funded at Blue Sky, guys, you can be withdrawing every day if you're meeting some of their profit requirements. And they just, again, if it's actual money in a brokerage account and you make it, 80 to 90% of that ends up being yours, as opposed to when a prop firm has to pay you out of pocket on a live sim. So very easy 3-step process at Blue Sky. Again, check us out, bluesky.pro, and we'll go from there. So yeah, for anyone with the static growth, that's something I highly, highly recommend. So guys, I'm going to be giving out later the opportunity or the email address to send any questions, but I did ask some members for some questions today, and that leads us to our trader mailbag. So the first question of the day comes from somebody who's in one of my trading groups that specifically asked the pros and cons of trading the ES versus the NQ. And we talked briefly about this a few minutes ago, okay? But I do want to get into this right now. The ES, as you can see here, guys, even when I expand it, we've got some nice smooth movement, right? Smooth movement from -2 standard dev band up to the VWAP, down again, very I don't want to say easy. I never use that term in trading, but nice, smooth movement. And then the NQ, NQ wasn't too bad today, but sometimes the NQ, and we saw this especially in the first half hour, kind of acts like a lemur on crack, right? It's just going and going and going and going. Now, if you can control your risk management, and if you're somebody, I know we're all in a hurry, guys, to make as much money in this business as possible, and I don't discourage your enthusiasm to make money. We're all here to make money. If you're not in trading, if you're in trading for entertainment, not to make money, go spend your money on concerts or events or something like that. Because trading, when it's done right, is actually a very boring thing, right? We find our setups. Sometimes, guys, most days I'm making a couple trades in the first hour of the market. Guys, there's days I sit for 3 hours before I see a setup that I like. It's not the most exciting job in the world when it's done right. Sure, at the end of the week, it's always nice to see that nice P&L, especially when that gets into the thousands or the tens of thousands. But again, this is a job. This is a career, and until you treat it like something more than a casino or something more than a side hobby or a side hustle, you're not going to see the level of success that we all get into this business to achieve. Okay, we got a question from Mr. Axelrod here. Oh, that message retracted. Okay. Well, that was fun while it lasted. It's the first show, guys. We're going to have some hiccups here or there, right? So I wrote down a couple more questions from... here's a great one, guys. What is a realistic timetable to be successful in trading? Well, so the answer on that varies, right? I always tell people, you can be making money in trading fairly early in your career, right? Within a couple months, 3 months, 4 months. But for a lot of people, it's going to take at least 6 months, if not longer. Okay. I always tell people, when you get in, budget, have a business plan, right? Because this is a business for you. You should treat your trading no different than somebody walking up to you or a close friend. It's somebody you trust, not somebody who just asks you for money all the time. We all have a few of those. But somebody who you trust saying, hey, I got a plan. I got a business plan. I was going to use open a restaurant as an example, but I have friends in the restaurant business. Do not open a restaurant. Trust me on this. But let's say they have I've got this idea for a business. I want $5,000 from you to invest. Before you even think about whether you're going to do that, right? You're going to ask to see a business plan, and your trading should be no different, right? I always tell people when they get into the prop space, places like Blue Sky, whatever discounts they have going on at the moment, budget 2 months of that and 2 resets, right? So in a lot of places, reset you, and Blue Sky, I believe, is one of them, resets you at the month, right? I'll get yelled at if I'm wrong on that, and I will correct myself, but that's, so again, 2 months and 2 resets, okay? Budget that from day one. All right. So you're not stressed about, oh my goodness. Hold on just a second here, guys. You're not stressed on, oh my God, I can't afford this or I can't afford that. No, I will always tell people, because I've talked to people, says I got to save up for X amount to afford an eval. Go a little longer, right? Spend a little more time on the sim, right? Again, take your time, be deliberate, but it's going to take you between 3 and 6 months to even have an idea of what you're doing, to be perfectly honest with you. Okay. Oh, I am correct. Thank you for backing me up on that. Yeah, free reset on monthly renewal at Blue Sky. Okay, that's very important. So again, if you're trading slowly and deliberately and you fail out, like say a week before your reset, boom, very easy. You'll get that once you pay your monthly fee. And don't get caught up in, oh, I have to do this for under guys, budget. If I'm being 100% honest with you, I would say budget $500 or more for evals, resets, and all that, because it's going to take you some time. Guys, I started out as a small cap swing trader, but let's say I had started out as a day trader without the knowledge that I had when I moved into day trading futures. I probably would have busted out 20 or 30 accounts, right? Because I still am, but I was just a stubborn you-know-what, and didn't want to admit that I wasn't good at trading, right? That's why I lost almost $40,000 in the first year, okay? And it took a long time to get that back, right? So I was basically sitting at over 2 years or almost 2 years in my trading career, and I was barely break even, okay? So again, so many people fail at this, and it's not because they can't do it. And that's a very important distinction, okay? A lot of people fail out on this because they're the wrong brand of stubborn, right? It's one thing to blow out 5 evals on day 1 and reset them all for day 2. That's the wrong kind of stubborn. And then they give up 2 weeks in because they never have a green day, right? To spend time learning, to spend time practicing, to spend time paper trading, and when you do fail, because a lot of us will when we first start, to stick with it, reset. Actually, after I lost all that money, I spent about 3 months just a full reset on my career. Went back and watched everything again, read everything again, sought out the right kind of help, okay? And that's what I did specifically to become a profitable trader. So if anyone in the YouTube has any questions, go ahead and put them in. Obviously, as we continue to go and the audience for this show continues to grow, we'll have a lot more questions. But let me see if I have any more from my... Oh, yeah, here's a good one. And guys, this isn't so much a question as a point somebody brought up. One of the biggest hacks in trading, guys, is to, and this relates directly to what we were just saying, is to, one of the characteristics you have to have is the ability to overcome negative thinking and not let that, and negative feedback, and not become a negative thinker, right? If somebody starts trading tomorrow, starts their career tomorrow, okay, they're going to get a lot of negative feedback. The markets are going to give it to them in the form of losses. Their own mind is going to give it to them in the form of frustration, indecision, and not know what you're doing. And for a lot of people that I've talked to over the years, thankfully I was not one of them, but it's going to be a lot of negative feedback from people right? With people that don't understand the trading space, think it's gambling, right? Or parents, kids, friends, family, whatever the case may be, that are going to, come on, nobody makes money doing that, right? And especially, I'm not a crypto trader per se. I've never traded crypto, never owned crypto or anything like that. I have some friends in the space. I'm not here to tell you it's good or bad. I'm not taking an opinion on that. But crypto has been what's been dominating the trading news for the last couple of years. And with all the various shenanigans going on at various firms in various places, and people go to prison, defrauding billions of dollars and all that, that a lot of people have transferred that into futures, that negativity they've transferred into futures stock. It doesn't matter, trading in general, right? Oh, I'm going to be a trader. Oh, I've heard about people that con people out of money, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, right? So again, something that's very, very important, that as you get negative feedback, you can't become a negative thinker. You go into every trade expecting it to win and prepared for it to lose, right? That's how you have to do it. Every trade I enter, I am confident that it will be a winner, but I'm always prepared for it to be a loser. And that comes to my final point of the day, okay? How do you get confidence in your trading? You know what? How do you get confidence in your trading, guys? It's by putting in the work. Okay, I have an expression at various places, and I've carried it with me at various places I've worked, to my own firm now, all of that. Okay, you have to be willing to do the work. I know there's, especially during the market booms of post-COVID in 2020 through 2021, every YouTuber made a ton of money because all they did was buy the dip, right? And very few of them put in the work. Well, as we got into 2022 and all of a sudden you had to trade rather than just buying every time the markets went down, a lot of those people disappeared. Okay, they didn't put in the work. They had a strategy, it worked great for a couple of years, and then they faded away. Many of them giving back every single dollar that they gained from the markets. Okay, and it takes time, it takes energy, it takes effort, it takes journaling every day. As this show progresses, guys, I'm going to take you inside my journal. In fact, maybe we'll do a snapshot on that tomorrow because I just started a new one for the month of January. Okay, and that'll give you an opportunity to see how real money is made in the markets. Okay, but this is at minimum a 6-month journey to get to where you even feel comfortable trading. Forget profits, forget all of this, but your main goal, where you're trying to get every single day, is to be, as I say to all of my students all the time, to be in complete control of your trading. Okay, for example, as I sit here on Monday, just after the regular market session is closed, I have no idea how many more opportunities the market's going to give me this week. I don't know if it's going to give me any at all. I don't know if it's going to give me 20 every single day. I don't know. That's beyond my comprehension and beyond my control. What I do know is what I'm going to do with the opportunities that the market presents myself. I'm going to take them based on my edge, based on my stats, based on my journaling, based on my learning. And not every trade is going to be a winner. In fact, you don't even need to get to the point where 3/4 of your trades are a winner. If you have a good risk-reward ratio, let's say you're risking, for example, in the NQ, you're risking 15 handles to make 30, or you're risking in the ES 7 handles to make 10, right? Just something along those lines, and trade over 50%, and then just scale it, baby. Just scale from there. And that's all that it takes. I'm going to give you some more examples of that as we progress in the show this week. But guys, we have reached the end of our show today. Oh, excuse me. So let me show you guys, if you have any questions for our trader mailbag, make sure you can reach out to me directly on Discord. Okay, just Trader Matt in the Blue Sky Discord. Or you can reach out to me, matt@trissiestrading.com. It's my personal email address. Any questions that you'd like to see on the show. I do omit your last name or your screen name, whatever the case may be. So protect your privacy, and we'll go from there. All right, team. Well, it has been it's been fun. This is day one. The show will continue to expand. It will continue to go from there. And I am really looking forward to you guys joining me on this journey. So when we are syndicated and broadcast in 50 countries, and we have 10 million viewers live every single day, you can say you were there for day one. Hey, man can dream, can't he? All right, guys, everyone have a great rest of your day. I will see you tomorrow. Again, we go Monday through Thursday right at the close for another edition of Beyond the Bell. Good night.